All right, everyone, we'll kick this off. Good afternoon. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining us on today's ESA webinar, Network Audio 101, Basics, Benefits, and Use Cases. No longer are audio systems clunky with equipment hard to install or a headache to operate and maintain. Today's network audio solutions are flexible, scalable, and easy to manage. Today, we'll review network audio solutions and how they can add value to your video surveillance solutions. I'm Jillian Bateman, ESA's Chief Development Officer, and I'll be facilitating today's webinar. I'm joined by today's expert, Chris Wildforster of Axis Communications. I'm going to hand it off to Chris in just a moment, but before I do, I have a few practical notes about what you can expect in today's interactive session for those of you who are new to ESA webinars. First, all callers will be muted for the duration of our webinar, but that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. At any time, feel free to click into the Q&A portion of your control panel to ask a question. There's no need to save those questions until the end of our session today. If something pops up, go ahead and ask, and we'll ensure we have time to address these with our expert. We'll also be recording today's webinar, so you can watch this on demand video at your leisure and share with colleagues. And finally, in your control panel, you'll see two windows. One with video of any speakers who are sharing video, hello, and then another box that has all of the slide. If you'd like to make that larger, you can just click on that window and it will become larger for you. We at ESA realize your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending that time with us today. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Chris Wildforster. Chris is the Business Development Manager for Audio Solutions at Axis Communications. In this capacity, he is responsible for developing strategies to expand Axis's presence in the audio market. He has 3 decades of experience in audio and control industries, building channels, driving strategic partnerships, and developing go-to-market strategies in the commercial and professional AV markets. Chris has worked with industry-leading companies such as Bose, Crestron Electronics, Clear One, and Music Group. He has been an active contributor to VCA and various other associations. He is well known for his expertise working with AV and IT integrators and distributors, discovering new channels to market, and forging business and technological alliances. Chris?
Thanks, Jillian. I appreciate the opportunity to make a presentation to your group here, and let's get right into it. So today's topics, these are some of the points that we're going to go over. Number one is an overview of the marketplace. So basically, is the market large enough for your firm to get into audio? Second, we're going to talk about basically what is network audio, then how network audio complements security and solves your business challenges, and analog versus network audio, some of the benefits network audio has to offer versus analog, applications, use cases, and top reasons to specify and install network audio, and we'll leave some time for Q&A. One thing I want to tell everybody is that, if you're sitting in on this session here and you've never done audio before or you're uncomfortable, we're going to introduce a program towards the end of this presentation, which will put you right in the comfort zone to help you design, propose, and sell audio systems.
Okay, everybody, we have our first poll question for today's interactive session. Do you currently recommend, sell, install analog and/or network audio solutions? You'll see a pop-up window there, and you'll want to respond. Do you recommend, sell, and install analog and/or network audio solutions? All right, we've got our results here, Chris.
Oh, that's great. So it's a good opportunity for us to discuss network audio, both at 40%. That's a higher percentage than I would have thought, but that's fantastic. So let's go ahead. Thank you, Jill. First off, let's go over the audio marketplace as an overall snapshot. So the professional audio marketplace is about 2.1 billion with a B in the United States. So our addressable marketplace really is security, background music, and public address. So that's about a third of the pie. So it's about a $750 million plus opportunity out there. Access audio, we don't do live events, we don't do performance or entertainment, any kind of rental or staging or conferencing or collaboration. So we're really distributed in commercial audio in the security, public address, and background music industries. So what we do is we basically break our audio offerings down into two groups. It's the same products, just different applications. Network audio for security basically offers live or spoken responses to incidents or alarms in monitored video systems. And we also have the opportunity to present pre-recorded spoken responses in unmonitored video surveillance systems. Network audio for business application is more something that we're all familiar with, which is public address, paging, alerts, announcements, and background music to set the ambiance for the customer experience. So let's talk more a little bit about network audio. So when we talk about network audio, we're not talking about a static background music system that the industry's been installing for thousands of years. So we're talking really more about intelligent audio. So very simply put, what is network audio? It's taking a digital analog input from a PoE switch and a source and transmits it digitally over the network via category cable to the speaker. So similar to a network camera, and I'm sure the audience knows we sell a lot of those too, each speaker has an IP address, and it's a combination speaker and network device. So it's got its own IP address, its own built-in PoE amplifier, as well as scheduling capabilities. So when you try to compare an access network speaker to a standard analog speaker, a 70 volt to 24 volt speaker, it's really not an apples to apples comparison, because everything is built in all-in-one, the network speaker. So here's a layout of two typical systems. The benefits of the network speaker, as I said, it's all-in-one. And when we compare it to an analog system, you can see the difference in the separate components needed. Having only one device comes with many benefits, such as less cabling, less space required, easier installation, cooler installation, is decentralized and environmentally friendly, and fewer points of failure. So all this really boils down to a more intelligent, efficient, flexible, and scalable audio system, which costs less in both time and money. So when you look at the analog system on the left, you'll see, your speaker, your amplifier, your preamp, a streaming box, all your inputs, and then a network switch. Those are all points of failure. And one thing to keep in mind with that system is each one has different connectors. So we'll get into that in a little more detail in the next slide or two. And on the right-hand side, you'll see it's from the PoE switch to the speaker, and then your interface, whether it's an analog mic, our SIP mic, or a telephone system. So what holds everything together here? SIP, right? Session Initiation Protocol. It's a very common protocol used in the telephony industry, and it ties various communications methods together, as you can see. So SIP is the platform, if you will, that takes each one of these products or systems, if you will, that you see on the slide and ties it all together.
Okay, we have another interactive for you here. Have you installed a SIP-based audio system in the past 12 months? And then secondly, how comfortable are you with programming SIP? Go ahead and key your answers there. Okay.
No, great. This is a big good opportunity for us to talk to you more about SIP and introduce you to that technology. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this slide pretty much shows you the same slide as previously, just illustrating how common SIP is in the world of communications. So there's plenty of speakers out there to choose from today, but again, we're not talking about just a speaker. We're talking about an access network audio, which does much more than move air. So it combines information derived from various systems, applications, analytics. Analytics is key. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but analytics is the glue that holds the video and the audio together. And it leverages the power and the capability of the network software, bringing the technology to the speaker. So every speaker is self-contained, so it is truly an intelligent audio ecosystem. So let's review network versus analog audio systems. So analog systems are more susceptible to interference from other systems in the ceiling. They're more familiar with the EMI, electrical magnetic interference, in the ceiling or wall. So whether it's lighting fixtures, alarms, high voltage, etc. So you have to be careful when you run your speaker wire, and you want to run those at 90 degrees to those sources. Category cable is not as nearly susceptible to EMI as to conductor analog cable. And some other things to keep in mind is that there is voltage loss over long runs with analog cables. And as I said before, when you look at the various different types of connectors when put in an analog system together, you've got Phoenix, RCA, XLR, HDMI, BNC, screw terminals, 1/4 inch, et cetera, it goes on and on. Those are just more points of possible failure. Where with network cabling and access audio, it's all RJ45 as it sits on the network, and it avoids a lot of those points of failure. So why network audio versus analog audio? Just some additional points to keep in mind. There is no equipment rack, and what that means is we've taken the intelligence out of the rack and pushed it to the speaker, right? So your speaker has your power, it has your amplifier, it's got SD cards, and the DSP built right in the speaker. So no need for a central rack. Everything comes out of the PoE switch to the speakers. There's no transformers up in the upper speaker up on top. You'll see that unit with all the wires coming out. That's a 70-volt transformer. And what happens there is when you use those in specific applications, if you overdrive them, they tend to saturate. What that means is you lose the highs and lows and you get some distortion in there. So we do use 8-ohm speakers, so they are high-quality audio. It is easier to set and change volume. We'll talk about that in a little more detail. We use the software in the system to do that. As I said, we have a digital amplifier built in the unit, clean installation, all RJ45, power from the PoE switch. You don't have to worry about amplifiers, analog amplifiers in line. And what's nice about that is, let's say if for some reason one of the speakers may go down, it basically will send you a message letting you know the speaker's down, whereas when an amplifier goes down on an analog system, the whole system goes down. If something happens to a single speaker, just that speaker is affected. Also, something else to keep in mind is, does network cable require conduit in your locality, right? So it's going to vary by area, but you want to keep that in mind. If you need to put your 70 volt or 20 volt systems in conduit, if your network cable doesn't require conduit, that's a significant savings. So how does audio complement security? We talked about network audio, some of the differences and benefits it has to offer. So let's spend a few minutes showing how audio is a force multiplier when added to your security system. So security is great, and it provides protection for property and safety for individuals. But security systems, traditionally, they've been passive and extremely important. They store forensic information that record time, place, and event, actions, people involved, and important events like that. But what happens if you add audio to the equation? What effect does that have? Well, what we've done is we've transformed that passive security system into a proactive event deterrent solution. So we've gone from a passive reactive recording solution showing us past events to a proactive event deterrence. Whether a simple pre-recorded message or a live announcement, adding audio into a security solution really changes the dynamic. So think about how much money and time are saved if you could stop an event from occurring with a simple message. If you could stop someone from going to an area where they require hard hats, let's say, or safety equipment, before they injure themselves. If you could stop somebody from making a bad decision, whether it's somebody has nefarious intents in a specific area, vandalism, damage to property, things like that. If you stop the event before it occurs, you're going to save significant time in first responders, administrative costs, and everything associated with that. So let's talk about some audio applications for security. So effective security plans include detection, a delay, and a response. Historically, video, as we said, has been a reactive tool, really without an effective response, if you will. So by leveraging audio and video analytics, surveillance can provide a response with a pre-recorded messaging. So here's an example. Announcements can be based on having video surveillance, video analytics, there's that word analytics, and live audio call out. The guard can get an alert if somebody enters a prohibited area and can speak directly to the person. Hey, you there in the yellow jacket, get down from there. It's the idea that the human presence makes the reaction more genuine, further deterring the event. So what you can do is in each one of our speakers, you can store up to 10 messages, pre-recorded messages, and they also come with pre-recorded messages, or you can store your own messages and have them play randomly throughout when an event occurs. So if you've got somebody like the image says, where you got somebody climbing a fence there, you know, what are the odds if that person receives a verbal message from the horn saying, hey, you know, get down from there, you've entered a secure area, please depart the way you came, 9.5 times out of 10, that person is going to turn around and go the other way. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the message. So that message basically says you're trespassing, please leave the area. The area is under video surveillance and you have been recorded. So here's an application. We have an access partner that offers the video surveillance in a virtual card solution out there. And the key number to remember here, the key metric is 93%. So think about this. You've got a car dealer with multiple locations, and we have hundreds of dealerships that are using our solutions. So they have a horn outside, and they've set up some perimeter protection, the virtual motion detection. And when somebody's on the lot after hours, it triggers an audio clip that tells them, thank you very much, you know, for visiting our dealership. Please come back during business hours. And what happens there is also the speakers, the audio also goes to the alarm receiving center for virtual guards so they can make live announcements as well. The key point of this is that it deterred 93% of intruders without having to dispatch law enforcement. Think about that. 93% of the time. Think how much vandalism that was avoided and damage to property without having to dispatch law enforcement. So using analytics, there's that word again, as part of your security and audio solutions, instantaneously directs attention and resources to areas needing them. Whether it's a loitering signal, glass break, gunshot detection, or speech pattern recognition, warning you of an event, analytics focuses your attention on an area or action that requires response. Emergency signaling is critical to any facility, and they're not mass notification or evacuation systems that require certification. They're emergency notification that send messages out to network speakers, text, phones, alert 911, and inform people where to go and what to do. So Lynx and Synapse are two of our partners that provide this solution, and it integrates directly to our network speakers via Vapix. So here's another case study where we have an interesting retail store with 850 locations. Cosmetics are very, I guess they're a targeted area where thieves want to go in and shoplift. So professional shoplifters, they're aware of cameras and various alarms, and the client is continuously exploring ways to fight and deter them. So the solution is a dwell time trigger in a camera that after 1 minute does two things. Number one, a message is triggered using an access ceiling speaker. Thank you for shopping at the store, making the individual aware that they've been noticed. That's key, right? And 2, notifies the staff to assist a person dwelling or loitering in an area via walkie-talkie. So via an ROIP gateway, right, we're communicating not only in the store, but we're communicating with employees. The result from this pilot was astounding. So organized crime disappeared from these 4 areas of the store. Shrinkage was down 85%. And in addition, sales increased and secret shopper survey results improved from 30 to 90% in response rates. So the key number here is 85, right? So 85% of shrinkage was avoided just by a simple audio message. So let's talk about audio applications for business. These are your announcements, background music, public address, and paging. So in-store messaging or making schedule announcements in all our selected areas, that's nothing new. We've been doing it for a while. Having it integrated directly into your intelligent network speaker, however, is. So audio is important in any business. It sets the tone. It's an integral part of any business ambiance. And network speakers allow you to stream directly to the speaker digitally via analog using our encoder, or via analog using our encoder, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. So some takeaways from a Mood Media blog post. You know, the music should be welcoming to the customer and reflect the environment you want to create. It should also make your customers feel comfortable and in the buying mood, if you will, when they're at the store. And day parting, there's different times of the day where you want to have different volumes or different types of music at various times during the day. And you want to keep it fresh. You want to basically have music that's fresh and new, if you will, and the latest hits and rising artists, but still make sure the music features a solid mix of familiar favorites. So here's an application, which is Cappy's Fine Wine and Spirits in Massachusetts. They have multiple locations, and what they've done is they basically integrated analytics with audio using Access Video and network speakers. So you'll see the cameras on the wall there. What they do is they basically steer their accounts or steer their customers, if you will, through the store. So they have special messaging in various areas that targeting specials on various brands of liquor or wine or beverages, and they can map how people walk through the store. So they did this to monitor inventory, obviously, and they wanted to reduce shrink and increase sales. And they're using our C1004E, which is a network cabinet speaker, along with analytics and our surveillance cameras to create a true end-to-end solution. So they have the control of the insights of their business challenges, and they also, like I said, can go through and track their customers as they go through the store. So we're all familiar with the public address systems, right? Whether it's a school campus making daily announcements, a store paging for mom to get their lost child, and we've all heard that muffled, unintelligible announcement at the train station or bus station. Either way, the public address announcements are extremely important in our daily lives. So whether using a microphone, smartphone, walkie-talkie, and VoIP system, intelligent network speakers provide a flexible and scalable alternative to outdated analog systems. So here's an application in a school in New Zealand. What they did here was they took their analog intercom system and they replaced it with a network audio solution from Access. And again, they have a central microphone with multiple zones, which is a 2-end mic. We're going to talk about that in a bit. And they're going out to the network speakers. And what this allows them to do is it basically allows them to group together various zones or speakers to make announcements, whether it's indoors or outdoors. They can go to each room and make an announcement. It really helps them target their announcement and increases the flexibility of the system they're using. So they're using typical ceiling speakers with an external horn speaker outside for the playground area, and the microphone system, which allows to program various zones throughout the system. It's also very easy to use for the end user. In most of these installations, you don't have a technically savvy end user here. So the network audio system basically changed the way that the Thornton Primary School communicates with the students, and it allows tailored messages and sounds to create a more positive environment. So Access solutions aren't a commodity, right? We need to sell them on the benefits and return on investment the client will experience when installing our systems. When audio is used as part of a security system, what does that mean to the customer's wallet and peace of mind, right? So just to review, we've talked about proactive versus reactive solutions. You're deterring a situation from escalating or happening at all. So many instances, as we said, can be avoided by simply adding a verbal or audio deterrence message. It increases business due to deterrence. The customers and the employees feel safer, leading to a safer environment. And again, the savings due to fewer damages, less loss of goods, vandalism, and administrative costs. Again, just to review real quick, these two numbers, 93% of the time in the car dealership, they didn't have to dispatch law enforcement when there were intruders on the lot, and shrinkage was down 85% compared to before the solution was installed, and that was in the department store. So, as I said before, we're sitting here and we're talking about audio, and you're like, well, I'm not an audio guy. I'm basically, I'm selling security systems. So we understand that, and we want to help you be successful in this marketplace and expand expand your business and improve the profitability per project. So we're introducing the Access Audio Design Service. So like with any job, having the right tools makes any job easier, faster, quicker, cheaper, right? So the first thing you want to do is you have some measuring devices to measure a specific area, and then maybe you have a sound meter to measure the ambient noise. Ambient noise is key in an area, and that's basically the noise that you get, the background noise you hear at various times of the day in a specific area. If you don't have a sound meter, what you can do is you can download something called Decibel X for your Android or Apple phone, and that'll give you a good starting point. It's Decibel X. So the Access Audio Design Service, this is really your key to designing, proposing, and selling access network audio solutions. So whether you're an audio geek or just want to begin offering audio as part of your solution, the Access Audio Design Service is going to, we're going to design a system for you that meets and exceeds your customers' expectations. It is a brand new initiative. We had it up for about a couple of months now, and it's extremely beneficial and profitable for our dealers to date. It is for our channel partners, again, to help expand your profits on every project, regardless of size and complexity. If there's nothing else you get from this webinar, access.com/audio design service, that's the first step you take to request assistance. So once you put that address into your browser, from here, all you need to do is enter the information on the right, and you'll get an editable link to an editable PDF that you'll need to save. You complete the form we're about to go over, and then you'll be contacted by your Access representative in a day or two, 24 to 48 hours, to answer any questions you might have. Now, in the meantime, if you've got an emergency you want an answer to, feel free to contact your local sales representative anytime. So you've gone here, you've downloaded your information, and what you're going to get is this. This is the Access Site Survey Form. So the Access Site Survey Form, this is the starting point for your design. No design will start until we receive this form completed with as much information as you can provide. So this is the online editable form that you'll get. You complete this, save it, and then we'll contact you to go over the form. So what you'll see here is on the top, you've got new installation, yes or no, design due date. Design due date, probably not a good idea to put tomorrow in there or yesterday, right? So give us about 7 working days, 5 working days. We can turn something around for you pretty quickly, depending on the complexity. So customer information is your information. Facility information is information about the customer. Give us a quick outline as far as what the customer's business is. Retail store, shopping mall, school, etc. I'm not going to go through each one of the points there, or other. That gives us an idea of the actual environment. System functionalities is their background music, public address, security announcements, paging source, microphone, ACAP, etc. If you're using a phone system, let us know what the model of that phone system is, please. Also, 3 of the more common announcements they maybe want to play. Background music source, again, is an analog, an ACAP, access audio manager, and if it's connected to a surveillance system, what's the VMS that's being used. On the bottom there, just a quick summary of the installation. You don't have to write a novel, just give us a quick outline as far as what the customer is looking for. So the next page looks rather daunting, but it's really pretty simple. If you look on the top, you see your zones, 1, 2, 3, etc. Each one of the columns is identical. So you basically name your zone, give us the size of the area to be covered, mounting height of the speakers. Is it an 8, 10-foot ceiling speaker, or are you going to put horns on a pole? Ambient noise, this is key, right? Again, this is where you have your decibel X that you've downloaded in your phone, or you've got a sound meter to measure the ambient noise in an area. Don't forget to see if you can't measure the noise at different times of the day, because that could vary. I'm not going to go through every point here, but you'll see their background music, volume control, location, existing speakers, etc. So if there are some existing speakers you want us to interface with, we do have migration devices we're going to talk about in a bit. And on the bottom of the form here, go through and give us the information on what those speakers are, amplifier, audio source, etc. Now, again, the idea behind having this form is that we have everything in-house now, where we have 98% of the information we need to design an audio system for you. So what you can do here as well, let me go into the report. So you've given us all the information. We've gone through, designed the system for you. So here's what you can expect. Using acoustically accepted and scientifically proven designs, we'll go through and basically lay out a system for you, room by room, zone by zone. So what you'll see there in the center page, basically those are ceiling speakers, and you have a coverage, a dB coverage of that speaker. So what you'll be able to do is show your client what that sound system is going to sound like in their specific area. These are called audio heat maps. In addition to that, you're also going to have lists of products and different product types of what are required in each zone and quantity of those products, right? So whether it's a ceiling speaker, horn speaker, or cabinet speaker, or any mix of those, you're going to get a list as far as what's required. So the key to any distributed audio system is even dispersion of sound, and using this software in our design process, we'll be able to show that using the audio heat maps. Now, in addition to this, when you complete the form, if you can send us a Visio of the floor plan of your customer, we'll actually take speakers and drop them on the floor plan so they can actually see what their system, see how their system is going to perform in their actual environment. Now, something else pretty cool, if you've done your Access site survey form and you've laid out your video system, you send us that floor plan with your cameras into the audio, and now we can lay an audio system out over your video system. So it's a pretty powerful message. On the last page on the right-hand side, you'll see those are your average dB levels and your drop-off as you get away from the actual source of the speaker. So again, with this design report, you get audio heat maps, which are going to vary as to ceiling height, speaker type, speaker location, listening level. Are you sitting down? Are they standing up? Ambient noise, is it a quiet office, somewhere between 50 and 60 dB, or is it a loud factory, 90, 95 dB? And again, this will show you the exact report. We'll send this to you, so when you visit with your client, they know you're not just walking around saying, you know, speaker, 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 speaker. You can sit there and actually show them the plan and show them the scientific results they can expect. So why is the form necessary? Again, just to review, again, it gives us all the relevant information on one document. The audio design will be completed based on that document. And it also, more importantly, it sets your client's performance expectations. So when you talk to your client, probably 9 times out of 10, not many of your competitors are going to be out there offering the information this report offers. So how does it help my firm? It increases your profits per project. You already got your folks on there pulling cable and putting cameras in. Why not pull some more cable and introduce audio? It increases your importance to the client. So now you're not, quote unquote, just a security guy, but you're also the security and audio end-to-end solutions. It also increases your client's safety, security, and image.
Okay, last poll question here. Are you interested in help with the design of a current audio project? We won't share these results, but you can go ahead and type your answer in at this point. Looks like okay. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so let's talk about network audio devices, some of the software and configurations. So the products that you see here, this is the Access Audio Network offering. You've got the C1004 cabinet speaker. On the left-hand side, your traditional 8-inch ceiling speaker. Next to that, then your re-entering horn. Migration devices, the two boxes there, the 8033 and the 8210, they are developed to help interact and interface with existing or legacy analog systems. And the 2-inch SIP microphone, which enables a SIP mic for paging applications. And any number of those SIP mics can be used in an application. So I'm going to go through the products here real quick. Re-entrant horn, we've all seen these primarily for outdoor or any kind of larger or higher noise area where speech is the primary signal. Clear and long range, you think about this as being a floodlight. This basically targets your messages. It is indoor, outdoor, and it's perfect for announcements and alerts. So the C1004E network cabinet speaker, it is splash proof. You can be installed outside, but you want to put it under an eave. It is not waterproof, so it needs to be protected. It's wall or ceiling mounted, so if you've got an open ceiling, you can take this and strap it to one of the structures in the ceiling and have it firing down, or on the wall where a ceiling speaker doesn't make any sense or the client doesn't want that. It's good for announcements as well as background music. Ceiling speaker, traditionally, obviously, it's a ceiling mounted. You can put them on the walls as well, but they're usually used in drop ceiling environments. Again, used for announcements or background music. Now, each one of the speakers, again, remember, it's all in one. So the amplifier is built in, software is built in, DSP is built in. There's also an SD card if you want to record white noise in any of these speakers and have that play as a sound masking system. You could possibly do that. So there's a lot of flexibility that these speakers have to offer. 2-inch SIP mic, it's for public address announcements and it has built-in software. It's got 12 speaker zones. You can do live announcements or pre-recorded. It is PoE and it does have BAPIX and SIP support. Now you can put any number of these microphones in a system. Again, it's 12 zone. You can assign different speakers to different buttons there you see, and we'll talk more about the zones in a bit. So these are one of the migration devices we talked about is the 8033 network audio bridge. This basically allows an analog system that is already playing to offer, it basically offers it network capabilities. So the application here is maybe you have a customer who wants network control over his existing analog system, but might not have the budget for rip and replace. So he can use this to either connect to an already existing system, add network audio to his existing system, and so we can basically mix network as well as analog systems together. So this box is about the size of a cigarette pack, if you will, and it's PoE powered or DC powered. It has an IP address and scheduling. So what this does is, in essence, it gives you network capability and compatibility to an existing analog system. Here are some of the additional benefits that this has to offer. Again, this is good for a customer who may have an existing analog system but wants network capabilities. So the 8210, think about this as the same thing as the previous model, the 8033, only with power, right? So an application here might be if you've got a client with a couple of speakers in a room, analog speakers in a room, again, he might not have the budget to rip and replace those speakers out. But what you can do is you can take the 8210, which has software. It's got power, 6 watts of power or 15 watts PoE plus, and you can have network control and network capability for those specific speakers in that specific zone, right? So the difference between the 8033 is the 8033 does not have power and the 8210 does have power. So again, this is a good application if somebody has an analog system and they want to have network capability, but they don't have the budget to do that, right? So we all love to do rip and replace, but some of our clients don't have those budgets. So these are two neat little fixes that'll help them migrate over to IP. So here's a typical diagram of a 6-zone pages system by a prominent, well-respected manufacturer of 70-volt systems. Great company, great products. But you'll notice it is somewhat complex and it is static. So once the system is wired, it's wired and in place. There's nothing you can do to change it. There may be some software changes you can make between modules there, but once it's in place, as I said, it's pretty much static. If you want to change something, you got to roll a chart, you got to rewire the system and go through all that. So whereas these are really pre-wired, we like to think about our system as being more of a logically zoned system. So because the network speaker is able to use multicast, it can be a leader of hundreds of network speaker units. And once the speakers are added as followers to the leader, you basically created a zone. And the zone could be a sales department, staff room, loading dock, or any space you want to communicate with individually. And through this one leader, you can play music or audio through an analog audio input, or use our ACAPs, stream background music, use SIP or Vapix. So you can see it's very flexible. So we talked about software, right, and what's built in each speaker. The Access Audio Player software basically is included with each speaker. So it does include drag and drop scheduling. This is a good application, let's say, if you want to create any kind of playlist, or if you want to create announcements, or chimes or tones at specific times during the day or night. You can go through and using the Access Audio Player, go through and schedule your sources. You can schedule different volume levels. You can schedule different sources to come in at different times, and announcements as well as chimes. And you will manage the system from your leader speaker. And this is free scheduling software. It's built into every network speaker and the audio bridge and audio amplifier. Those are the two migration devices we talked about. Now, the Access Audio Player does go for a week at a time. So after 7 days, it'll repeat that same schedule until it sees otherwise. We're going to talk about another solution here, where if you have a larger system and you want more flexibility, you would get involved with our Access Audio Manager, which is the 7050 server. So what this does is this gives you central control, audio content management, zone management priorities, and scheduling. So the central control, Access Audio Manager, controls multiple audio devices from a single interface at one location. This also means that the health control can be performed without actually visiting the site physically. And what we mean by health control is each of our speakers has a microphone built in. Now that microphone is not meant for talkback. It's not meant to listen in to a specific area. The microphone is there to listen for a tone that you can schedule to play through the speakers at various times of the day or night to make sure the speaker's operating. So that microphone is there to listen for that tone. If you want the tone to play at 2 o'clock in the morning when the facility is closed, it'll listen for that tone. If it does not hear the tone, it'll send a message back saying, hey, speaker, IP address or whatever the location is of the speaker, it'll be notified that speaker's not up and running. So with Audio Manager, you could also schedule out beyond the week as you can with Audio Player. You can go into any really amount of time, whether it's a year out, and you want to do in-store scheduling or schedule different tones at different times of the year, things like that. Audio Manager is the way to go if you've got multiple locations and a high number of speakers. And you'll see that in the next slide, where you basically have the comparison between the Access Audio Player and Audio Manager. So I'm not going to read all this, but you can see, as I said, 1 week versus advanced, which is more. The priority levels, there's 2 priority levels in Audio Player, that's the free service, and there's 9 priority levels in Audio Manager. Input sources you can see, and you can see the difference in the number of speakers it can manage. So keep in mind that Access Network Audio is made for music reproduction, paging, messaging, public address, and priority announcements / emergency announcements. I know the word emergency kind of gets a little confusing sometimes. We are UL 2043 rated for use in plenum spaces, but we are not certified to be used for life safety or fire alarm notification. So we're not EN 54, we're not NFPA 72 certified. You can use our system to complement some of those systems, but we're not to be confused with any kind of certified mass notification or fire alarm system. We work with two companies called Lynx and Synapse, and they offer announcements, priority announcements, which they call emergency notification. And this may be for weather alerts, it may be for seismic activities, it may be for active shooter activities, but again, they're not quote unquote certified solutions. So let's go over real quick the top reasons to choose network audio. Simply put, all in one system. Everything's included in the speaker. So a speaker in itself is not just a speaker, it's a complete system. Compare that to a 70 volt or 24 volt or 16 ohm radio speaker, whatever you've used in the past. You have to have that centralized rack. You buy a speaker from Access Network Audio, it works as one. It's an all-in-one solution. Flexible, scalable, like any other network device. It's very easy to add more speakers, if you will, to the system. If you want to expand your system or change your system, it's just an RJ45 for the PoE switch, and you're there. It also scales very well if you want to increase, again, or modify your existing system. Integration with legacy analog systems, we talked about that with the C8033 and the C8210. Those are the two boxes that give network compatibility and network control with existing analog speakers if your customer doesn't have the budget right now for rip and replace. Seamless integration, we talked how well it interfaces with VAPIX and SIP and ACAPS, so it'll work with analytics out there in the solution and integrate with other access products. New business, it's new business for you. If you're not doing audio today, which I think we saw the majority of you aren't on the earlier question, it's an opportunity for you to expand your business. What I would suggest, if you guys are out there, you're putting cameras in a parking lot, I would make it a standard affair to put a horn under a camera outside, right, with a simple perimeter protection or some kind of simple analytic in there. You'd be surprised how many of your customers would appreciate that and aren't even aware how easy it is to integrate the two. You're already running Cat5 up the pole to the camera. Why not include a splitter and a horn underneath? Simple, new business, new opportunities. Analytics. Analytics is the future. You know, I've been selling analog audio for 30 years, as Jillian mentioned earlier. And one of the things we really never got involved with was analytics. And when you look at that marketplace now, I think I read an article recently where it's grown at 23%. So the analytics market has grown at 23%. And the key here with Access is to offer that end-to-end solution. So we've got the video, right? You got the IP audio, right? What holds it together? Analytics, right? So the analytics ties the video to the audio, and that gives your customer that complete end-to-end solution. And it also, as we said earlier, it also really changes your firm's image in the customer's mind, your client's mind, right? So you're going there and you're offering a complete solution. You're not just going there, like I said, and pulling cable and putting cameras up, which is very important. It takes you to that next step and really puts you as a complete solutions provider. So that being said, some of the questions maybe to ask your customer, you're the client's trusted advisor. So you want to ask as many questions as possible, regarding audio. Again, if you're not comfortable installing an audio system or design an audio system, we're here for you. Access design service, and maybe some of the questions to ask your customers: do you have an audio system currently being used? Right? How are you using the system? Is it paging, music, breaks, alerts? Do you have an emergency notification system? Do you have zoning functionality so you can send messages to or specific content to various areas? Or are you interested? Here's the key question, right? Did you know or are you interested in how analytics can help you improve provide a safer, more secure security solution. Like we said, emergency notification. So again, analytics tied with video, tied with audio, gives you that complete solution. The growth we're seeing in the network audio business is tremendous. A lot of folks are understanding the power it has to offer when you add audio to a video system. And I think at that point, remember, www.axis.com/audio design service. If you don't get anything else out of this, please remember that URL, visit it, get the form, and let's get started and let's help you design your next audio system. On that, I'll turn it back to Jillian.
Thank you, Chris. Just want to remind everybody, whether you're viewing on Facebook Live or if you're in the webinar, you can ask a question either by commenting on Facebook or just click that Q icon, Q&A, in your control panel, and we'll get those questions answered for you. We do have a few questions here, Chris. You touched on this briefly, but could you go over the speakers' microphones again? Do the speakers have microphones built in? And is it possible to disable the microphone on the speakers?
Right, thanks, Jillian. That's a good question. We actually get asked that a lot because of privacy concerns, because it does vary state by state as far as how many participants need to agree to be recorded. So the microphone can be disabled via hard switch on the speaker, and obviously via the software. So the microphone really cannot listen down into an area. All that microphone is there for is to listen to that test tone. So when you run the test tone through the speaker, if it does not hear that specific tone, then it's going to send back a message to the central, to your software, your central software, telling you that the speaker's not working. So it's not meant for any talk back, and it can be disabled, yes.
You touched upon leader and follower speakers. How would you add a follower speaker to a leader speaker?
So thanks. That's another good question because that has a lot to do with zones and multicast. So in the web interface of the leader speaker, you browse for the other speakers on the network. They all get registered on the network, and click the plus button next to the speaker in the list that you want to add. It'll ask for the credentials, and then you basically just add to the group or zone, as simple as that.
Okay, we've got another question here. If I want to page a zone, do I need to register all speakers to the PBX SIP system?
Well, that's a good question. We got somebody who knows the telephony paging industry. So no. To answer the question, you don't have to. The only speaker you have to register is the leader speaker, right? So now you don't have to put a bunch of speakers and offer different SIP addresses. All you need is the leader speaker needs to be registered in the PBX. The followers just follow along whatever's played through the leader.
Okay. I just want to ping you again. If you have questions here, you can absolutely type them into the Q icon located on your control panel. Can a third-party event trigger a pre-recorded message?
Yes. So if there is a third-party event, the Access Network Audio products, they're built using VAPIX on the VAPIX API, which uses HTTP for interaction. So if you were to have a third-party device that's able to send HTTP notifications on a trigger, you could instruct a speaker to play a predetermined audio clip that's uploaded on the speaker. And if the third-party device you're using is unable to send HTTP, you could use the I/O on the C8033, right, Audio Bridge. That's one of the migration products we talked about, to trigger. And then it could send the audio out as the leader. If you didn't want to use the bridge, you could use one of our I/O devices, you could use one of our other I/O devices, like a P8 8221, or I think it's an A9161, to accept the input, and then it can send the HTTP notifications to the leader speaker to play the audio clip. Does that make sense?
Okay, we've got another one. Is there an I/O on the speaker where a motion detector can be connected?
So, no, we don't have an I/O on the speaker. There are I/Os in the migration devices, right? The 8033 and the 8210 do have I/Os, but the actual speakers do not at this time.
And can the speakers be set to duck from a fire alarm system?
Yes.
I just want to give you all one more opportunity to ask any questions you might have from our expert today. If you're watching on Facebook Live or watching those comments closely, you can ask a question there, or if you're on the webinar, you can just type those into the Q&A portion of your control panel.
So, Jillian, you asked a question before about the Access Audio products having an I/O. So, as I said, they don't have I/Os. You could use the C8033 audio bridge, one of the migration boxes we have, but the speakers do support VAPIX, so you can send an HTTP command, right, from other devices to trigger them and activate events. So, it's not a closure per se, but you can do it via software.
Okay. Jim, we do see your comment here, and we'll be sure to get Chris hooked up with you after the webinar. If there's no further questions, I want to thank everyone for taking some time and spending that with us today to talk about network audio, and to thank Chris and Access for sharing your expertise with us. A reminder, did video record this session, and so whether you pop on the ESA group on Facebook or just check your email tomorrow, we will share the on-demand video with you. So thank you, Chris, thank you, Access, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Have a good one.